Good evening, namaste, welcome. Welcome to our beautiful, soulful Sunday conversations. So today's topic actually popped up because I had been traveling for the last week or so, and I met a lot of new people, people who are not exposed to this energy work or emotions. And I realized that a lot of us live our lives, majority of our lives, not even understanding that there is an emotional aspect to every physical issue that we have. There is a underlying emotion to every physical issue that we have. We keep on healing the physical symptoms, but then the disease keeps surfacing again and again. So obviously there has to be something deeper than just dealing with the symptoms. I know most of you here are exposed to Reiki or some kind of an energy healing modality, so are probably familiar with it. But I still found so many people who just did not have an idea about this whole thing. So I thought, why not refresh this? Because actually we started the Sunday conversations as with the heading of body mind integration, and the basis of all this work that we do, energy healing, body mind integration, all comes from understanding the importance of emotions and how they can really play havoc, not just with your mind, but also with your physical body. We feel that, yeah, it's disturbing my mind, I can't sleep, I'm stressed, I'm depressed. But no, it has deeper implications which we need to understand. And of course, this is one of my most, like, my favoriteest topic, if I may say, because I've seen people going back and struggling with the same disease, dealing with the best of doctors, medical facilities all over the world, but still the problem persists. So we have to understand that what is this that we are, which part is missing in the entire puzzle. So when I understood about Body Mind Connect, it was so easy to relate to so many things that we suffer from. And that does not mean that once we've understood it, we will not feel it in the body. It still happens. Even to me, it still happens, as I'll share with you as we go deeper into our conversation. But we can be aware of it and not allow it to overpower in that way where it starts to, really harm us to a deep, or maybe even to a point where diseases become irreversible in the body. So any disease, as I'll be sharing with you, any disease that we want to talk about, you all can raise it up and we can definitely bring up the underlying emotion and see what we can do with it. Vinita, you have something to share before I start?
Yes, rather a very, very warm welcome. It's always such a delight to be back on the Sunday conversation. And as you rightly mentioned, that we started the Sunday conversation talking about, mind and body connect, because we all know that they're so, so beautifully connected that we also say, Jaisa tan, Vaisa man, and Jaisa man, Vaisa tan. So even science today is constantly proving this connection between the things we feel and experience and their psychological implications in our bodies. So it's actually time that we open our mind to see the bigger things, that what is happening between the two ears, and then become our own health detective or a strategist, if we can say. So we start identifying, as you say, the emotions, our emotions in, progress, so that we do not have a dis-ease, as how beautifully that you always explain. But my first question to you would be, your body reflects your entire life. It's a very, very strong, question, and which how we can really say that how our body talks about our inner story. If you could really reflect on that for us.
Hmm. Okay, so in fact, when I also read this statement many, many years back that biology is biography, just the way you are questioning, probably the same question popped up in my mind too. But when I say body, I just don't mean the physical appearance. The body usually relates to the functioning of the body, you know.
Correct.
So uh, if we have been living our life in a particular way, like supposing, just to give you a random example, if we are living our life with a lot of bitterness that we are holding inside us, or we have bitterness from the past, which we may even not be able to identify with. I wouldn't remember that in the last 50, 55 years what made me so bitter, or was there any sort of trauma or experience that made me feel this. I may not be able to put a finger on anything, but the fact that I'm living with a disease like, say, diabetes, means that there is some element of bitterness, or the vibration of bitterness is very familiar to me. Okay. And I'm going to, when I talk about vibrations, there are a lot of people who are new on the group. So I'm going to take this opportunity to, really use this thing of, explaining this in a deeper way, in terms of understanding what I mean when I say vibrations and diseases. Okay. So I'm going absolutely down to the basics, because this made a lot of sense to me many years back. And always when people come to me for healing also, I always reflect on which body part is ailing and what is the function of that body part. So let's go back to the basics. Now we know that everything in the universe is made up of atoms and molecules. Okay. These atoms and molecules vibrate at a particular frequency. We all know that we have these atoms and molecules vibrating at a particular frequency. Now, this frequency, as the frequency of these atoms in our body goes on rising, we start to feel the higher emotions. So if the frequency of the vibrations is very, very low, if I'm feeling very low vibrations, I'm feeling very low, meaning I'm feeling very low emotions. What are the low emotions? Depression, anxiety, insecurity, feeling of hopelessness, despair, guilt, unworthiness, feeling absolutely, that life is not worth living at all. So these are the low vibrations. Now, with these energy healing modalities, what are we doing? We are channeling energy, whether it is through Reiki, whether it is through tapping with EFT, whether it is with any other form, pranic healing, theta healing. We're only trying to raise the vibrations of these cells in our body. And as the vibrations get raised, the lower emotions start changing to higher emotions. Okay. So when we start feeling a high vibration, when we do Reiki, or for example, I'll give you the example of Reiki because that's my real life experience. If I'm giving myself Reiki, say, and I start feeling a high energy, my emotions of depression, despair will start to gently change. I may move slightly up into, say, an emotion of maybe anger, jealousy, insecurity, then moving further up to frustration, irritation, which are definitely milder than the lower ones. The depression and all were really absolutely zero vibration, meaning as good as not being alive. Whereas when we come into frustration, irritation, anger, and if we keep moving up, say like doubt, insecurity, and we come to what we say is like the center, we start feeling little positive emotions, and we come to what we say as, say, the emotion of love. So all the lower three chakras, the lower emotions, fears, insecurities, then coming to the solar plexus, which we know as anger, jealousy, complexes, and then we come into the middle chakra, or the middle of this entire vibrational scale, which is the heart center, which is the emotion of love. And then that is like we say, if I'm measuring it on a scale of 0 to 1,000, maybe the love emotion is 500. And then as we continue to work on ourselves through meditation, through Reiki, through anything, we start moving to even further vibration. And we start living beyond love, living beyond love. Once we start living that beyond love, what are the emotions that we will feel? There'll be a lot of peace, there'll be gratitude, there'll be appreciation. So all the higher vibrations we'll start to feel. So again, I'm quoting here from, this book called Power versus Force. And in this, he actually describes that we move from 0 to 1,000. It has been measured on a scale from a 0 to 1,000, where love is 500. And the highest that we can feel in the physical body is a 720, is a frequency of 720, where you live always in appreciation and gratitude. And if you begin to live beyond that 720, you even have the ability in this body to rise up to a frequency of 1,000, which is what we call as Christ or Krishna or Buddha consciousness. Right? So all these, all these healing modalities or channeling the energy is actually helping us to raise the vibrations of the cells in our body. So as we do that, we start living with the more positive emotions. Sorry, Natasha, can you ask your question?
Yeah, Sujata, I was listening to your conversation and I was thinking, what exactly do you mean by living beyond love?
Okay.
I understand it partially, but if you can explain it.
Okay, sure. Absolutely. So see, actually, when I talk about living beyond love, and on the scale of 0 to 1,000, it's at a 500. And even in the physical body, we have like three upper chakras, the heart chakra, which is the center of love, and the lower three chakras, isn't it? So when we say we live beyond love, we live beyond the three-dimensional aspect of living from, just a very personal life. So it becomes a very vast, expansive life, if I may say. It's like a life of unconditional love, right? It's not specific that this is my child or this is my partner, this is my house. It's not mine. It's like everything is one. So we start, those separations start to dissolve, if I may say. And we understand that. Most of us, I mean, you yourself are on a spiritual path, you would understand. And we keep oscillating, isn't it? One day I'm very angry, I'm totally caught in the solar plexus, that's also fine. The other day I'm totally, feeling a oneness with everything, that's also fine. So living beyond love is really living from, say, the higher realms, understanding that there is no separation, and just always living with even the emotions that I have mentioned, appreciation, gratitude, unconditional love. This is like something which you will begin to feel and you'll continuously live with them. It's not that you have to make an effort. That is living beyond love. So when we practice all these, when we really practice all these modalities, we actually come into that space of living as one, isn't it? That is the whole purpose of everything, isn't it? Most of us here on a spiritual path would understand. Pick up any scripture, the Gita, the Bible, the Quran, the Guru Granth Sahib, the Ramayana. What are they all pointing to? That one universal consciousness. That means no separation, isn't it? So that is what we are all sort of focusing on. And actually, for many of us, these modalities have come into our life when we've been going through some kind of a crisis, some trauma, loss of someone close to you, some terminal illness, some tragedy in the house. So when that happens, we usually turn to this part of our, healing. And that is your stepping stone to understand that that crisis in your life actually turned you to the main purpose of your life, to this path of spirituality, to this path of understanding who you truly are. So for me, even people who come for Reiki or anything, EFT, SRT, yes, these modalities are very personal, but ultimately anybody who hangs in there and continues to be with my work will definitely be guided to this ultimate truth. So coming back to our basic question, biology is biography. When through these modalities, we are trying to raise the vibrations of these cells in our body. Now equate this to the body-mind connection, equate these emotions to the body-mind connection. I expressed an emotion, like when I was speaking about the solar plexus, I said, anger is an emotion that is felt in the solar plexus. Actually, anger is always stored in the liver. Liver is the organ where we stored all our anger. So people who have hepatitis or diseases associated with liver usually carry a lot of anger. Now, outwardly, many of you may say that, no, I don't think I have any anger in me. But actually, when you go deeper inside, when you really, go deep and see, there is a lot of suppressed anger that person needs to release. So it is very important to not just heal the physical symptoms, but also heal, this anger that is there within you. And then understand what is anger, where does anger come from? In Reiki, this is one of the principles. Just for today, I will not anger. And where does anger come from? All coming out of expectations. Somebody should be doing something in a particular way. If life is not going in a particular way, I get angry, isn't it? So to reflect on this aspect also is very important, because people will keep popping up in your life who will keep making you angry. And you'll keep saying, okay, now this person has to leave my life, only then I'll not be angry. And then the next, and then the next. That, my boss makes me angry, my partner makes me angry, my parent makes me angry. The blame is always outward. But can something which doesn't exist within you be triggered if it doesn't have a seed inside you? So is the anger coming from the person opposite you, or is the anger sprouting from a seed of anger that is already suppressed within you? That is what you need to reflect on. Cancer. Cancer is something which has become like a viral in the past 10, 15 years. Cancer stems totally from resentment, holding on to resentment. It develops that extra growth in your body, which becomes toxic and is cancer. It's those toxic thoughts, those toxic beliefs that you're holding on to. And resentment, you know, like in the past, about, I would say a couple of years, maybe 15, 20 years, a lot of these multinational companies started to come into India. All these, you know, I'm forgetting the term because all these corporates and, you know, people were working like 24 hours round the clock. So much competition started coming in. It was all about your position, your appraisal. And, you know, every time it was like a cutthroat competition in whatever you were doing. And actually, I feel that that's the time when resentment really started developing in a lot of people. And that's the time when cancer became such a common disease all over the world. Because everybody was now, you know, running to make or live their life in a particular way. There were times when, you know, people would take loans only because there was something lacking in their house, or they needed something which they could not provide. And that was very, very basic. But now it became that, yeah, it's so easy with the coming in of Citibank and all these multinationals, that it was so easy for anybody to take a loan and, you know, build up whatever you want, even things that you just sort of want to have as luxuries, and not realizing that how those loans were eating into your basic income. And yes, it did improve the way of living greatly, but it also brought in a lot of resentment and a lot of competition, because one had to work more, one had to struggle more. In fact, globally, I think life became like that. And so it started impacting the body in a lot of ways, because the body really was left behind. Everything was just to achieve, to progress, to, you know, how could that person get a higher raise than me? Why am I not getting what I want? So it was becoming more and more, you know, from that aspect, the corporate culture came in so strongly. The whole work-life balance became very different than what it was. All these, you know, night calls were going on. People were working round the clock because they were working in global companies. So what I was wanting to say is that resentment starts building inside you, and that is what actually develops as cancer. So when you deal with cancer, supposing even the primary tumor for cancer has been removed from your body, you've taken your radiation, you've taken your chemotherapy, you're even on oral chemo or something, why does the cancer resurface? Going back to my very favorite example, which I'm sure all of you have heard me, you know, when somebody has a heart attack, all of a sudden one has a heart attack, they get a bypass surgery. Now their whole, you know, the heart has been sort of cleared, the arteries have been flushed out with whatever cholesterol, whatever they were holding on to. And then they start following the doctor's orders to the T. They have a healthy diet, they go for their walk, they do their pranayam, they, you know, take their medication on time, they do whatever, meditation, everything they do. So ideally, these people should never be having a heart attack again. Isn't it so? But does that happen? Does that happen? No. Why? Only because it is not just accumulation of that cholesterol in your body. The heart is our organ of giving love, receiving love. It's actually the organ that brings in joy and love into our body. So when we hold ourselves with our emotions, that's when we have instant heart attacks, because we've blocked, all those arteries are blocked with the emotions that we are wanting to express. And the moment we are able to, you know, add that aspect of releasing and being okay with expressing our emotions, the heart just opens up. The heart just opens up. So very important to understand this, what we call emotional healing, as a very, very important aspect of total healing. And again, when I say about the heart or the liver, or even when I talk about cancer, we have to understand that what is the function of that organ in the body? What is the function of the heart? The function of the heart is to give love, receive love, circulate that blood, you know, purify that blood. So it is, if you are closed to giving and receiving love or emotions, you will definitely have some issue in your heart. And I'm actually going to go to the entire body. When I say biology is biography, start with any part, start with the eyes. What is the function of the eyes? A lot of times we feel some kind of irritation. We feel, okay, there's some problem with my eyes. You go to the doctor, you'll get a thorough checkup. Doctor will say, everything is perfect. There's nothing that I can physically point to. But you are feeling a grittiness, you are feeling a discomfort in your eyes. So what is the function of the eyes? The function of the eyes is to see. So if there is something in your life that you're not willing to see at this point, there'll be some problem in your eyes. Similarly, if you look at the ears, the function of the ears is to hear. And if you have a person in your house who's extremely nagging, shouting, putting you down all the time, and somehow you're not able to disconnect with that person's energy, something will happen to your ears because the body doesn't want to hear all that nonsense. Similarly, when you talk about your lungs, what are lungs? When we have asthma, it's all about breathing. When we feel suffocated with life, we usually have asthma. And let me just say one thing here. I'm not ruling out that there could be a genetic aspect to the disease. I'm not ruling out that there could be something from the past life that you're carrying that is manifesting in the body in this lifetime. I'm not ruling out those things at all. But the fact that you in this life are going through this physical issue, whether it is anything, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, just something as simple as an acidity, migraine headaches, back issues, means that you need to reflect and see what is the underlying emotion that I need to work on. And once you understand that, and through the healing that we do, you're able to deal with that, you will see that the disease will absolutely vanish from your body. For example, when I'm talking about cancer and resentment, the main thing that you need to practice is forgiveness. Just practice forgiveness when we are dealing with issues of cancer. And actually, the cancer can dissolve from your body, can totally disappear. Totally disappear. When we look at our shoulders, what is it that we carry on our shoulders? A lot of us have shoulder pains, isn't it? What is it that we do with our shoulders? What is the function of the shoulders? It's to carry whatever you're carrying with you. So basically it is when you feel that the whole world is, sitting on your shoulders, or you are carrying that responsibility. You are carrying that responsibility. That is when you actually experience that pain in your shoulders. You go to your back, the entire back. It's so beautiful because as I've told you a lot of times before, always thought that back issues or back problem, when we were children, we used to see people who are 70, 80 years old, their backs are beginning to stoop, and now they need a stick or a support, and they have back problems. We never heard of young people having back problems. But now I feel it's the other way around. There are more people with back problems who are younger, teenagers, people in their 20s, 30s who have back issues. So let's relate this to the body-mind connect. Let's relate this to the biology of the body. So what is your back? What is your spine? Your spine is your entire support system, isn't it? We stand on our spine. We sit on our spine. So the spine is the entire support system. So whenever you feel that you have a lack of support, that's when we have issues in the back. And a lot of us feel that now, isn't it? A lot of us feel that now. My parents are not supporting me. My boss is not supporting me. My colleagues are not supporting me. So again, when we talk about, the entire back, we actually break it up into 3 parts. The upper part, the upper back, is all to do with lack of support from parents, from close ones. The middle back is the area of the heart chakra. So the middle back is all to do with guilt. When we feel lack of support in relationships in particular, and close relationships in terms of romantic relationships. And when we feel insecure, particularly financial insecurity, it all comes in the lower back. The root chakra issues, when we feel I don't have enough, I may not be able to get what I want, and all those fears come in. Those are all issues related to the lower back insecurities and pain in the lower back. And again, I'm saying I'm not ruling out that there could be some vertebra which is deformed or has got suppressed or pressed, or there's some nerve issue. So if your body is depicting a back pain, you have to understand what is it, where is it in life that I'm feeling unsupported, and work your way through that, through whatever, Reiki, affirmations, EFT, whatever. Then you come to, something as simple as an acidity. Something as simple as an acidity. You eat your food on time, you go for a walk after that, a gentle stroll, you sleep on time, you had a very light meal, still in the middle of the night, you get up and you feel like a reflux. And you say, I couldn't digest the food that I had. But the food you ate was so light and it got digested a long time back. So reflect, what is the function of the digestive system? The function of the digestive system is to digest food. And when you cannot digest what is happening in your life, you have acidity, you have reflux, because you're not able to digest what is happening in your life. Reflect on this. So many of you, don't we feel those butterflies in our stomach when we have an examination or an interview? What is it? It is only that churning that happens in your stomach because you're at that moment nervous or anxious. Why am I nervous or anxious? Because I'm not I'm not able to connect with or accept what is happening in my life. And even amongst, like in the digestive system, you look at anything, you look at, say, the liver, like I said, is all associated with anger. The pancreas digests the sweetness of life, is all associated with bitterness. And diabetes is totally a reflection of carrying bitterness from this lifetime or from the past. And you may say, I have never, I don't carry it, but you have felt bitter about certain situations sometime in your life and probably have not able to process it fully till now. That's what has led to this. So any part, when you come to the lower part of your body, what do we do with what is the function of the lower part of our body? The function of the lower part of our body is to move. What do we do with our legs? We move, isn't it? So when we have fear of moving ahead, that's when we have problems in our legs. Okay, I'm giving you a very brief and a very generic outline, but we can go specific. Every vertebra of your spine, every bone, this carpal, metacarpal of your fingers has a particular emotion attached to it. And I'm quoting a lot of this from Louise Hay's book, which is You Can Heal Your Life. And any one of you can pick it up and, read further about all that I'm speaking. So when you have fears about moving ahead in life, the lower part of your body gets affected. Like our ankle, what is our ankle? We balance our entire body on our ankle. Repeatedly, you will find, oh, my ankle got twisted. I was just walking down and suddenly my ankle got twisted. So what happened when you're feeling like an imbalance in life? When you're feeling like an imbalance in life, you twist your ankle. You must have heard about these, teenagers, as they are growing, they have these growing pains in the calf muscles. So what is teenage? Teenage is a time of your life where you're stepping into a whole new way of living. So much of peer pressure, so much of competition. You're moving out probably sometimes, into the senior classes, you're stepping out into college, or you have, your body is going through so much of change physically, mentally, emotionally. That's when you have that jelly-like feeling in your calf muscles. And we say, oh, these are growing pains. But yeah, that's the fear of moving ahead. And anytime when you're really feeling nervous or anxious about what lies ahead in life, immediately you will feel like sometimes you feel like that jelly-like feeling, or the, slight pain in your legs, because there's a resistance that comes into the body which does not want you to move ahead. So that's another reason why we need to reflect on these things further. Now, when you come to your knees, what are knees? Knees, again, we hold so much of fear in our knees. In a way, fear of moving ahead. In a way, it is a fear of moving ahead. Knees, and actually any joints that we have, this wrist joint or our neck joint, these are all associated with flexibility. So when you feel very rigid in life, That's when all these joints begin to pain. And actually, that's when arthritis sets in. Because that's the time when you've started, your ideas, your thoughts are so rigid, and you actually just caught on to something which is, say, very, you just are not wanting to look at things from a different way. That's when all these flexible joints actually become tight and rigid, because your mind has become rigid. Then when you look at, you look at, even when I was talking about the neck, something like cervical spondylitis. Now, cervical spondylitis is said to be something which one cannot sort of treat. The only treatment is take physiotherapy, take painkillers, do your exercises. So what is cervical spondylitis? Most of you who are connected with Reiki understand that this is our throat chakra, our center of expression, our center of communication, creativity, all come from the throat. A lot of times in life, these things get suppressed. We're not able to speak up for ourselves, or we're not able to express our creativity to the level that I would ideally want to. I'm not able to communicate. So all those words, those thoughts, those ideas get suppressed here, right? We even say that cervical spondylitis is equal to suppressed tears. So all those suppressed thoughts and ideas go, and actually they accumulate in this part of our body, and that is termed as cervical spondylitis. So when we are able to, gently speak up for ourselves, express ourselves, again, through these healing modalities, this pain totally vanishes. It totally vanishes. So look at any disease that you're going through, it's all to do with, the function of that part of the body. Yes, sometimes you may not be able to explain it specifically. Like when we talk about pain in general. So pain in general is a form of self-punishment, self-sabotage. It's like you are inflicting that pain on yourself. So guilt is similar to self-punishment, and that is what leads to pain in the body. Now that could, again, you could go deeper into it and understand that why is the pain in this part of the body, or similarly for cancer, when we say resentment, which part of your body has cancer? If say there's cancer in the breast, then obviously there's resentment in mothering issues, because the breast are nurturing, mothering organ in the body. If the cancer is in the colon, if the cancer is in the digestive system, it's definitely to do with issues of non-acceptance of life, the way life is. If it is to do with the liver, it is definitely to do with anger issues. So just go back to the function of that part of the body, and you'll just get the answer totally on your own. Totally on your own. And like I said, in a general way, self-sabotage, self-punishment, guilt is what creates pain in the body. Even UTIs, urinary tract infections, are all to do with self-punishment. Okay, I want to answer this question, Sunita's question. I'm just going to take it give me a moment to read it out. She says, the whole spine is hurting. How can I heal? Now let's take this example. When somebody's spine is hurting, they are just thinking that they have no support in life. Maybe my partner is not supporting me. Maybe my children are not supporting me. Maybe my parents are not supporting me. Nobody is there to look after me. I have absolutely no support. But actually, nobody is supporting you. No person is supporting you in life. You have to trust in that higher consciousness and know that God is supporting you. Till the time you don't come into that space of understanding that, yes, I am being supported. I am being supported not by person A, B, C, or, but by a higher consciousness, but by God, universe, whatever you might like to call it. But since I've experienced maybe certain issues or certain traumas in my life, and, I've been sort of betrayed or lost my loved ones, I feel I have no support. So reflect, do you have no support? Reflect on that aspect. Is nobody supporting you? Is there nothing in life to be living for? Reflect on these things. And if so, you still feel that, yes, it is so, then you need to really sort of, introspect on this. Otherwise, your spine will never be healed. I'm sorry to say that. Don't take this personally, or any other disease that you're struggling with. Okay, pain is happening, spine is hurting, but I can come into a deeper space of understanding that, okay, I mean, God is looking after me. I'll take whatever I need to in terms of the treatment, the uh, medical guidance. But I have to also believe that, yeah, this pain has also been given to me by that same God who's given me all the joys. And the moment I come into that acceptance, the moment I understand that, yeah, the universe is supporting me, the pain will go. The pain will go. But if I keep putting more and more energy on that pain, especially, thinking that, yeah, nothing is supporting me and, I'm only suffering, then that's what I'm attracting more and more in my life. Isn't it?
Even obesity, Didi, as what we learned from you.
So obesity, if I look at it, obesity is basically about, filling a void in your life where you feel, why do we eat without thinking? Or why do we go on putting weight, sometimes even without eating much? It's because I'm feeling very insecure. The main emotion equivalent to obesity is insecurity. I feel I need to have this weight. It's my security system. And the moment you step out of that and you say that, you'll have that willpower to work on yourself. I mean, whatever you need to do physically, you need to do physically. There is no denial. If you need to take a medication, if you need to go to a doctor, need to have a surgery, okay, you need to have that. We're not denying that. But learn the deeper reason for that. Learn why this disease has manifested in your life. So that at least you're just, you don't carry it further. And yes, I'm again coming back to the fact that it could be hereditary, it could be, something that has come in through your genes. But understand that, there are two children from the same parent, and it should have come ideally into both of the children. But one chooses to attract that, and one chooses not to. So obviously, there is some vibration in you that you've attracted that particular issue in your life. Now, when we talk about hip pain, hip is also a joint. It's a very big joint of our body, isn't it? It's again a joint which holds your body together. So it definitely comes in through a fact of rigidity. But I would say I would associate the hip more with the root chakra. So a sense of insecurity. Definitely to do with some elements of rigidity, not wanting to be flexible, and not wanting to, and definitely fear of also growing or moving ahead in life. And in a different way, that too is insecurity. So does this make sense? Let me hear from you people. Anybody wants to ask, question, contradict? I'm happy to share. Let's share our views. It was such a big learning for me. I used to always I still have, like, my right shoulder is very, very sensitive. With any kind of a stress, the first thing that happens is my right shoulder begins to pain, or I feel like a tightness in my right shoulder. And I've always felt that, I am responsible for a lot of things in my life, for my children, to bring up the children, to run the household and all those things. So any little sort of disruption from the normalcy, I'll feel a tightness in my right shoulder. We all have our soft spots and sore spots, isn't it? So it's always feeling responsible, even though I know and I fully believe that I'm not doing anything. God has all the responsibility. God is looking after everything. It's my deepest belief. But still, the body reflects it in a different way. That is what I mean by biology is biography. Because most of these are unconsciously attracted into our body. Why would somebody attract a cancer in their body? Why would somebody attract a terminal illness in their body? They would only do it because they would only or most likely do it when they are in their subconscious mind. Right? So these are the things that are there in the subconscious mind. And that's why those things get attracted, because your vibrations resonate with that emotion of, say, resentment, anger, fear. You understand now the body mind connect from the atoms to where we are now? Yeah, Purnima, I'm happy to shed some light on digestive disorders. So digestive disorders, as I said, are inability to digest what is happening in life. And to explain it in a little more elaborate way, it is non-acceptance of what is happening in my life. It is total resistance. Now, if you understand, you are a Reiki channel, as most of you on the group are. The digestive system is connected with which chakra? With the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus chakra. This is also the seat of the ego, isn't it? This is where the ego resides. So when would we not want to accept what is happening? When will resistance come up? When we want things to be in a particular way and they're not happening in a particular way. And who brings this up? Simply the ego. And when I say ego, please understand, I'm not talking about the ego as something being arrogant or arrogance. Ego simply means separation from the self, separation from the true self, meaning caught up in understanding that I'm the person. I'm separated from that true thought that everything is one. So when I get into that egoic space, when my ego becomes very powerful, that's when the solar plexus chakra becomes imbalanced. And that's when we feel all these digestive disorders. It's totally non-acceptance of life. Whatever is happening in my life, I'm just like not able to. What happens? Don't we feel that churning in the stomach? A lot of times we throw up. What is throwing up? Not accepting the food that you've eaten. The body is not accepting the food that you're eating, isn't it? In the same way, you're not accepting what is happening in your life. So it's the same thing. It's totally the same thing. If you want to be asked more specifically, Purnima, please ask. So yes, Rachna, arthritis and joint pains reflect rigidity and lack of being flexible, definitely. And you know, when sometimes we are really perfectionists and we want things just to be in a particular way, that too is rigidity. It doesn't have to come in, you know, when you're elderly and when you've formed a different mindset. Even when we want things to be in a particular way and we just cannot, you know, divert from any kind of a change, that's when all this pops up, isn't it? That's when these problems start to come up.
Sujata,
Yeah.
can I speak, Purnima?
Yeah, Purnima, go ahead.
I want you to give some, tips on this digestive or disorder thing, inability to digest food, and I feel full most of the time. And yes, you were right in all the things that you said. Inability to completely accept, though outwardly I feel I accept and I'm very flexible. But maybe this manifestation of stomach is definitely some deep rooted.
Absolutely, absolutely, no doubt. So understand, what is it that you're resisting in your life? Think of it. What is it that you're resisting? How do you want your life to be? And suddenly there's a change, or, you know, your plans change, or life suddenly takes you in a different way. It's like, I just can't accept it because I had planned life in a particular way. And that's when your stomach goes for a toss. Isn't it?
Yes. Is there any meditation you can recommend for this?
So see, the meditation in this, I would just do the chakra meditation to balance the whole entire chakra so that the corresponding organs get healed. I would say that tomorrow also at 7 o'clock, we have a Reiki session, and I'm going to tell you to bring all these digestive disorders, arthritis issues, bring all your issues tomorrow evening, and we'll give healing to all.
Thank you.
Meditation, see, the meditation is, I would say, more than meditation, pray, you know, like pray to be more in acceptance of what is. I was a person who was very, very sort of close to change. If I eat a particular thing, if I've not eaten a particular thing, I've never eaten it. I've never even thought of eating it. But slowly, when even in terms of your habits, you begin to open up and say, okay, so let me see, let me at least try it out. Once you start saying that and you want to try things out, you open yourself to newness, isn't it? You open yourself to change. Actually, you expand your life. And okay, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least there is no resistance. Otherwise, instantly, the first reaction is, no, this is not something which I want. This is not something which I can digest.
Yes.
I just couldn't digest that thought. Or sometimes we say, oh my God, this person is a pain in my neck. Don't we say that?
Mm.
So many times we say this person is a pain in my neck.
Mm. Yes, yes.
Right? Because you are not agreeable to what the person is saying. That rigidity in your mind makes that person pain in your neck because you're not flexible to the other person's thoughts. But you don't have to agree to everything. Let him have his point of view. You have your point of view. But you want him to be in your point of view. That's the pain in the neck. Otherwise, why would he be a pain in your neck?
It becomes a pain in the neck when people are not willing to accept that you can have a different opinion.
But why do you want them to accept that? See, you are saying the same thing in different words. Why do you want them to accept that? Are you accepting that they have a different opinion?
Maybe yes.
Full stop. But why do you want them to understand? That's the pain, creating the pain in your neck. Which part of you wants to hear that they should say that, no, you can have your opinion and I'm having my opinion. Why do you believe in that? Just stay with that. Why do you want them to say, this is the whole problem? Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Are you seeing it? Right? Yes. I'm so happy because I'm sure all of us look at this. Now, I understand his point of view. I understand that, he looks at things from different perspectives, but he should also understand, Arey bhaiya, he can't understand. He doesn't have that ability and that's fine. Don't judge him. At least you be at peace. Don't allow him to be a pain in your neck. But your struggle is that he should also agree to what I'm saying because I have also agreed. Now that's not being fair to yourself, not to him. Forget about him. Because the pain is not in his neck. The pain is only in your neck. Right? Isn't it when we see certain people who we just don't resonate with, the moment we see them, there's something that happens in your stomach. Or you feel that, literally there's some bile that is coming into your mouth. Isn't it?
Yes.
It's like toxic, isn't it? Those kind of relationships, you just see that person and something happens in your body. So what? The person didn't say anything to you. There's nothing presently that you're connected to. But there are imprints that are there in your subconscious and your body reacts in that way. That's your biography. That's your life history.
Yes, you said the right thing. Your body is your life history.
That's your biography. Absolutely.
Yes,
That's exactly what I was trying to share and explain today. So why should you suffer? Why do you want your body to suffer, with things which can easily be dropped? Reflect, why am I carrying this bitterness? Or even if there is bitterness, which I may not be able to, understand, or resentment, which I may not be able to understand from the conscious mind, let me practice some forgiveness. Let me start expressing self-love for my body. What do we do when a part of our body aches or pains or has a particular disease, dis-ease, as I say? What happens? We want to just shun that part out, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Right? But that's not really fair. It's your own body. It's your knees. It's your shoulder. It's your head that is paining. When you're paining, it's asking for attention. It's telling you something. It's totally telling you something.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You explained it very well. I'll be there tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Question?
Yeah.
So like how you explained, beautifully that all these things, all our diseases come out of various emotions and, all of that. Whereas you also said in that you cannot rule out your genetics and all that aspects of life, right? So when, let's say we are aware that, okay, let's say my back pain is because I feel unsupported.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a genetic issue is also at play at that point. How can we help that? I mean, how can we How
So
can we
supposing that-
overcome it?
Yeah. So there is a physical issue for sure in terms of whatever genetically or whatever has created it. You are attending to that, isn't it? You are going for your physiotherapy, taking a medication. If you need a surgery, you are taking a surgery. You're, trying to sleep on a particular kind of a mattress or whatever you're guided to do. You're following that, right? That's the physical aspect. But also work on this emotional side. How will you work on your emotional side? So like you said, what is the emotion in the back? Lack of security, isn't it? So meditate and open up your, your mind to understanding that, okay, so if person A, person B, person C has sort of betrayed me or left me alone in life, I'm still supported by a higher power. My life is not just about A person supporting me or B person supporting me. My support is coming from the universe. And that's where I need to invest my energy in. So whether you pray, whether you meditate, and that universe is not separate from you. You are your own biggest support, isn't it? You are your own biggest support.
Right. That I understand. What I'm saying is like genetically, let's say weight only, if genetically you know that it's a very integral part of your genes, right? How do we overcome it? Yes, physically we try and do whatever, but at the end,
Yeah, so see,
there's something.
genetically, yeah, I understand your question now. Genetically, maybe you cannot do anything in that aspect, but to be more in acceptance of it and, that, okay, so now I have this, it has come to me through my genes, through my parents, but how can I live with this in the best way? Not with, again, feeling that, oh, I've got this disease or I've got this illness and, like, I can't do anything about it. That's again, non-acceptance of what is, isn't it?
Correct.
The fact is that, yeah, I have it. Let me make the best out of it. I mean, I've seen people on terminal illnesses with, the worst diseases that one can think of, but they're living their life to the fullest with full trust and belief that, okay, today I'm alive, let me live now. Who knows about tomorrow? I mean, would I rather be dead because I can't heal myself, or would I rather make the best out of this life that I have? And there's always so much to celebrate in life, whatever might be your life challenge. There's always so much to celebrate in life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There's so much to be in gratitude for. So do I want to keep investing my energy on that one disease, one issue, which I'm not able to resolve for whatever reasons? Or I say, okay, let me take the necessary steps or the precautions that I need to do, but let it not limit my life. Let it not limit my life. And that's how you begin to live. I mean, I've always given you even that personal example of my own daughter who has this osteomyelitis, but that does not limit her from living her life.
Yes.
It's so many times we have diseases which we can't do anything. Whenever there is a problem, either it's a surgery or it's a deep course of antibiotics. But that does not mean that you just accept, okay, so now my life is over because I have this. You break through those beliefs and you say, no, I still want to live. Let me work on myself. Let me build my immunity. So what if I have this? I can still, whatever might be the issue. I may not be able to run or, if I have a back issue or be that athlete that I always wanted to, but I can surely do something else to give me fulfillment in life. Isn't it? So yes, certain things may be withdrawn, certain things may be limited. I'm not denying that, but that's not the end of life. I mean, I even see now on Facebook, like sometime back, people who were struggling with weight issues. And of course, that's not a very healthy thing, not at all a very healthy thing, because obesity is one thing which leads to so many other diseases. But, all these plus size clothes started coming in. And now you see so many people who are like modeling with, they are like obese, but they are like looking glamorous.
Yeah.
So that should not block you from doing whatever you want. We keep thinking, okay, when I lose weight, then I'll wear those thin jeans, then I'll look. But I don't feel that that's something which is very, I mean, that's a personal thing. That should be the criteria for you to lose weight. It should be more to be healthy. I mean, I'm not saying this personally to anybody. I know of, I don't know whether she's here, Poonam, who's here, Poonam Gupta is here. So, like, can I see you, Poonam?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
I can't see you. Have you put on your video?
Okay.
Yeah, put on your video. Yeah. So, like even when you have things that you're struggling with and you can't really do with things in a particular way, you just still can be looking so beautiful and gorgeous and attractive. You don't have to be having those limitations in life because of a certain thing that you're struggling with. So don't have these inhibitions, don't have these blocks in your mind that, oh, I've got genetically this disease, so I can't. Okay, you have genetic diabetes, you can't eat sweet. It's fine, you can't eat sweet. But that's not the end of the world. There are other things that you can eat and really enjoy as much. There are so many people who can eat but don't like the taste of sugar or sweet. So everything has its plus points and, things that are good and bad, up and down. Don't catch on to that one little limitation or one little thing which is blocking you in life. Sorry, I got confused. Poonam, I was looking for Poonam Tanwar. I don't know if she's here, but you're looking gorgeous in any case. So Poonam, I think Poonam is not here. Many of you might be knowing her. She's also on one or two of our programs. And for many years, ma'am, SRT kar do, I really want to lose weight. I really want to, and she has like, she's not thin, she's fat. She's fat meaning she's overweight. But she looks so gorgeous, so simple and gorgeous. Every time she comes on the screen, she's like glamorous. And I always marvel at her. I really marvel at her. So don't think of, it's a perception in your mind that one has to be looking in a particular way to be, to be accepted. Why are you wanting to be thin? To be accepted by whom? Only by yourself. Everybody else is accepting you the way you are. And if anybody can't accept you in the way you are, then it's their problem. It's not about you. So self-love, self-forgiveness, that is very important. Because by saying all these things, we are actually punishing ourselves. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Sujata, may I say something, please?
Yeah.
What I wanted to say was that, yes, you're so right about everything you said. And yes, I have a lot of arthritic pains, so they say right now. It's in the sacral bone and spreading to the neck, making things a little difficult. But on the other hand, whereas earlier I know what I was, I would have probably, brooded over it. Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe I was too rigid. Yes, I was. Maybe but I think what you and Rohini together, and of course my earlier teachings and gurus have all been able to help me with is that, okay, so what's happened has happened. It's all right. Whatever way I was. But I've changed so much now. I'm so much more accepting. I'm so much more grateful. Despite all these pains, I'm still walking. Despite all the pains, I'm still able to enjoy everything in life, especially my, nature, which is so close to my heart. So I feel that is so important, and this is essentially what has been recreated time and again by Rohini and you. And for that, once again, besides everything else, I'm so grateful. I feel so much up for both of you. I don't know how to express it also at times. But I just wanted to say this, that despite whatever is happening, it's happening. There's no point in my going to the past. I need to address it now. I'm doing it physically, like you said. Yes, I'm going to the doctor. I'm going for physio. Everything. I'm trying to do whatever best. But that doesn't stop me in any way now from enjoying what is happening right now. I want to.
Absolutely.
I want to live. Yeah, that's the way I want to be. The rest will be taken care of. It's okay.
Absolutely. And I know, Sulakshana, I have met you, say very recently through these prayer meets and, when you started coming for the Sunday talks. And from when you started coming in to what you are now, one can totally see the change. I mean, the flow in you, the flexibility in you, the openness in you, we can all see it totally. Your morning messages are just so beautiful. So that expansiveness has come into the body, but for whatever reasons that pain is in the body, It's there, but you're dealing with it also in the most wonderful way and not allowing it to limit you in any which way in life. So that flexibility has totally come up, and that has also led you to be more in acceptance of whatever it is that you're going through.
Yes, true.
And I see that
Absolutely.
openness. We see that openness in your energy.
And I'm just waiting to meet you both. I'm really waiting to meet you both.
Inshallah, will happen very soon.
Of course it will.
Absolutely,
course.
absolutely, absolutely.
Do we take a little break into meditation? Or do you think so? We
We'll do
already.
tomorrow. We'll do Reiki tomorrow. Let's all
Okay.
come for the Reiki and bring all your aches and pains, physical, mental, emotional. Let's receive healing.
And all our friends, family, everybody.
Yeah,
as a
bring anyone.
open session,
Bring anyone.
whether they know Reiki, whether they are not Reiki channels, it's an open session. So kindly bring in all your love and energies and your people around.
Absolutely. I mean, I've also been a little irregular in the last couple of months, and a lot of people have written to me. So now I'm here and I'm not going to miss any session. So let's just come together, revise our Reiki, come back to it, receive it, see the change after receiving energy, after receiving a healing. I mean, we do nothing in these talks in terms of a meditation. Okay, sometimes we do a meditation in the end, but it's just like talking from our heart with full present here, isn't it? So this too on its own is so healing. We go back from here feeling quite healed, isn't it? So someone who's on an iPhone had raised their hand, if I remember. Do you still have a question? I would love to answer.
Yeah, Sujata, I did.
Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Yes.
When you said inflicting pain on yourself, what exactly do you mean by that?
Inflicting pain as in, when
And you
talk,
said if you have a UTI, that
Yeah,
also means that you are inflicting pain on yourself.
Yeah. So you're actually punishing or feeling guilty about something in your life. Something in your life, you feel you're punishing yourself for. UTI is totally equal to self-punishment. Totally equal.
Self-punishment.
Yeah. So when you say inflicting pain, again, you would not do it consciously, isn't it?
Yeah.
You would not do it consciously, but somewhere there is a part of you which feels guilty about maybe something in your life. And that doesn't have to be a personal thing, that doesn't have to be. I even know of like people who have, whose children are unwell or whose, say, partners are not doing well. And somewhere subconsciously they take it on upon themselves that, oh, maybe I'm not a good mother. I'm just giving you very vague examples, personal to you, So we have that in us that, oh, something is not okay in the maybe in the family or in my life. So it is creating this guilt somewhere in my subconscious. It always comes out as UTI. Always comes out as UTI. And see, again, each body has a particular part which is like, say, sensitive or susceptible. So whenever you go through any kind of stress, it may not be guilt only. Immediately, that part gets affected. Again, I'm not ruling out the physical aspect that, okay, maybe, we have been traveling or something, the UTI could be due to that also. But most of the times, it's when your body resistance goes down, when your body immunity goes down, that sensitive issue in your body sprouts up because it gets a very, say, a healthy environment to grow. Stress comes out in that way. Like I was giving the example of my shoulder. When there's anything immediately comes, when people have a little stress in some way, the migraine headache starts off, or you have palpitations, or you have like, high blood pressure, whatever is your sore spot, whatever is your sensitive spot, it begins to happen. Right? I mean, we know in our family, when she has a little stress, her leg will start to pain.
Yeah, I understand.
So we've seen these things and we have to understand it's a time of change. There's something that she's fearing moving ahead, even though she's the most fearless person, I would say. But the body reacts in that way. The body reacts in that way. And when I see these things so close to me, I totally understand. And there will be so that's what you need to reflect on also, along with everything else. So what is it that I'm really, not that I want to punish myself. Who would want to punish themselves?
Who would want to? Yeah, that's it.
Who would want to attract a cancer or an illness in their life? But internally, if there is something that I still need to resolve, that's how my body will tell me. I would say, no, I don't think there's anything I'm guilty about, or I don't think there's anything I feel like punishing myself about. But there is something in your subconscious which we may not be able to put a finger on. So let's do some forgiveness.
Okay.
You know, just to release whatever is. So that's why I say forgiveness is one of the best ways to just let go of whatever, even what you can't understand.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You can speak, Natasha. It's so difficult to read the messages.
I was just saying that I am so grateful to receive this session. Some of it I already knew, but the way you've explained, like I would have never thought that UTI is something that is equivalent to self-punishment.
So I have been the biggest sufferer from UTI in my life.
Really?
I have really, I mean, even now, if there's a sensitive spot, I will instantly feel a UTI. In fact, I've been told to have the UTI medicine, the antibiotic for life. My urologist says the moment you feel this much of a sensation, start your antibiotic. Otherwise, I have to take it intravenously if it flares up. So I did not understand it for the longest time, but I now started to understand it very clearly in the last couple of years. And yes, there are times sometimes when we don't even understand, but that's fine. It's because the body has that soft spot. It has that sensitive part in you.
No, but whatever you shared, I completely resonated. Whatever issues that I have in my body, they were exactly the reason that you were stating. And I need to do something more about it.
Yeah, I mean, even when you look at, I didn't mention something, but when you look at your kidneys, or you look at something like when you're talking about digestion, I was wanting to bring this thing up, but it slipped my mind, Purnima. When you look at constipation, what is constipation? Constipation is holding on to what? Pardon me for using the word, but holding on to shit, isn't it? So when we hold on to a lot of negative thoughts in our mind, which are absolutely sort of no value, that's when we have constipation. We don't want to let go. We don't want to let go. Okay, we can go on endlessly on this topic. Maybe we'll have something similar next Sunday. We'll talk a little deeper about something similar next Sunday. And you all can write and please share what you would like us to speak on. You know, bring up your questions. Just don't hesitate to ask. Let's see, whatever I know, whatever I can share, whatever is my experience, I'm happy to do that anytime. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.